What if Hollywood's golden age held secrets we never knew? These films pushed boundaries, told forbidden love stories, and changed cinema forever. Today, we're counting down the top 10 old Hollywood gay movies you never knew. These classic films capture the passion, the risk, and the beauty of love when society said no. Let's dive into cinema history, starting with number 10. Number 10. The Children's Hour, 1961. Directed by William Wyler, The Children's Hour is a powerful drama that dares to touch on a subject Hollywood rarely whispered about. Two women teachers run a girls' school, and Karen and Martha have built a life together for years. Their professional dedication and close bond give no hint of the deeper truth underneath. When a troubled student makes a vicious accusation, everything comes crashing down. The accusation plants a seed of doubt in the community's mind, and Karen's engagement ends immediately as her fiancé abandons her in shame. Martha watches her world collapse, standing silent beside her as the school closes and families withdraw their daughters. Their reputation is destroyed, and the town turns its back on them. What makes this film remarkable is how it dares to address what others refuse to say. The film itself is careful, but Karen and Martha's devotion, their years of partnership, and their shared dreams all point to a truth that even in 1961 felt dangerous to speak aloud. It's a tragedy disguised as a morality tale, but if you watch closely, you see two women whose love for each other survives even this cruelty. Number 9. Victim, 1961. Directed by Basil Dearden, Victim stands as one of the first films to directly address gay life in Britain. A successful lawyer named Mel has built a respectable life, married with a family, but his past catches up with him. When a young man he once loved is blackmailed and then found dead, suicide they say. But Mel knows the truth. Blackmail destroyed this man. The system destroyed him. Mel makes a shocking choice and reveals his own secret, risking everything to expose the men who prey on gay men, the predators who extort them using the law itself as a weapon. His marriage crumbles. His career hangs by a thread, and his colleagues recoil in disgust. But Mel pushes forward, fighting to change laws that criminalize people for loving the wrong person. This film was controversial, even dangerous for its time. By naming the word homosexuality in dialogue, and by showing gay men as victims rather than villains or comedic relief, it changed something in how cinema could speak about forbidden desire. Number 8. The Sergeant, 1968. Directed by John Flynn, The Sergeant is a tense psychodrama set during the Korean War. A grizzled military sergeant commands respect and fear with his tough, merciless demeanor, until a beautiful young soldier arrives at his base and everything changes. The sergeant becomes obsessed with the young man. His discipline begins to crack, and he finds excuses to be near him, watching him constantly. The intensity grows until one night something happens between them, and the connection they share frightens the sergeant more than any enemy ever could. He can't live with this truth. He can't accept this part of himself. The aftermath is tragic, as the sergeant's internal war between desire and denial, between love and survival, destroys him. This film captures something raw about the real danger gay men faced, not just from society, but from their own internalized shame, and from the military culture that demanded absolute conformity. The violence of having to hide and having to deny yourself is laid bare. Number 7. The Detective, 1968. Directed by Gordon Douglas, The Detective stars Frank Sinatra as a New York cop investigating a brutal murder. The case pulls him into the gay underworld of the city, spaces he never knew existed. The investigation takes him through leather bars and hidden clubs where men love men openly. The film is shocked, sometimes disgusted, but also strangely fascinated, as it shows a world that mainstream cinema had mostly ignored, this hidden subculture thriving beneath the surface of respectable society. The gay characters here aren't sympathetic. They're not victims. They're alive and defiant, which is its own kind of boldness for a film from 1968. The detective himself comes away changed after seeing how people live when they refuse to hide, when they carve out space for their own desires despite the danger. Number 6. Midnight Cowboy, 1969. Directed by John Schlesinger, Midnight Cowboy remains the only X-rated film to ever win Best Picture. Joe is a hustler fresh off the streets who comes to New York with dreams of making money as a gigolo for lonely women. But what he finds instead is a man named Ratso, broken and desperate, hustling survival any way he can. Joe and Ratso find each other in the wreckage of the city and form a bond that isn't romantic exactly, but something deeper, something that saves them from complete dissolution. They're both selling their bodies, their time, their desperation for money to survive. The film doesn't flinch from showing exactly who they are, the men who buy them, the shame and fear, and the moments of tenderness between two people with nothing but each other. It's a love story, but not the kind Hollywood tells. It's survival. It's connection born from absolute need. Ratso dies at the end in his moment of hope, and Joe is left alone again with a dream destroyed and a friendship ended. This film captured something true about the gay underground and the expense of living when you refuse or can't afford to disappear. Number 5. Death in Venice, 1971. Directed by Luchino Visconti, Death in Venice is a masterpiece of repressed desire made visual and unbearable. An aging composer named Aschenbach travels to Venice seeking rest, but instead becomes transfixed by a beautiful young boy named Tadzio. The boy is perfection, impossibly beautiful, and eternally young, and Aschenbach follows him everywhere. To the beach, to the cafes, to his hotel. He never speaks to him, never directly acknowledges him, just watches and aches. The city decays around them as plague spreads through the streets, but Aschenbach won't leave. He can't. Not while Tadzio is here. His desire becomes a sickness consuming him and destroying him. He dies in Venice still watching, still longing. This film isn't about happiness. It's about obsession and about how desire that has nowhere to go becomes a kind of death itself. Visconti transforms it into art with stunning cinematography, haunting music, and absolute tragedy. It's a devastating portrait of a man who can never have what he wants, and so chooses to waste away rather than live without it. Number 4. Reflections in a Golden Eye, 1967. Directed by John Huston, Reflections in a Golden Eye is a gothic southern nightmare, set on a military base. Captain Penderton is a soldier who is controlled, disciplined, and perfect except for one thing. He's obsessed with a young private, a beautiful, free-spirited man. Penderton watches him constantly. He rides his horse naked through the woods, paints his lips, refuses to wear shoes, and lives as if no one is judging him, which drives Penderton mad. Penderton's wife is having an affair with another officer's wife, and everyone's desires are twisted and tangled together, breaking the surface. Penderton eventually sneaks into the private's room and watches him while he sleeps. The invasion of privacy, the violation of boundaries, the depth of his compulsion. It's all terrifying. The film presents these desires as sickness, as something that poisons everyone it touches. But the young man remains free, unbothered, almost innocent. This tension between the watcher and the watched, between repression and freedom, makes the film devastating. Number 3. The Boys in the Band, 1970. Directed by William Friedkin, The Boys in the Band is the first mainstream film to show gay men as actual people with complexity, humor, and pain. A group of friends gather for a birthday party in a New York apartment, and on the surface it's camp and witty, as they're performers using humor as armor. But underneath, there's real loneliness, real shame, and real fear. One of them has spent his life trying to be straight, trying to disappear. The party becomes a reckoning where each man confronts what he's hiding, what he's lost, and who he's pretending to be. The film is sometimes painful, sometimes crude, sometimes brilliantly funny, but it refuses to look away from the internal lives of these men, their relationships to each other, and their battles with themselves. It was controversial and condemned by many, but it opened a door and said these men are here. They're real. You have to look at them. Number 2. Prick Up Your Ears, 1987. Directed by John Schlesinger. Sunday. Bloody Sunday is a love story told as a serious drama with dignity and depth. Clive is a doctor, and Daniel is a single mother, both successful and intelligent. But both are in love with the same man, Murray, a bisexual artist who divides his time between them. The film follows all three as they navigate this arrangement where no one is a villain and no one is being deceived. They're making choices about how to live and who they choose to love. The scenes between Clive and Murray are intimate and tender. They fight and reconcile. They care for each other. When Murray won't commit, when he can't decide, Clive's pain is real, his love is real, and his heartbreak is real. The film treats this with the seriousness it deserves. By 1971, this was radical, showing a gay relationship as the center of a film, and showing that love between two men was worth watching and worth feeling. The film's conclusion is bittersweet as they all keep living in their incomplete way. But the film suggests that this too is a kind of honest life, more honest than the lies most people tell themselves. Number 1. Sunday, Bloody Sunday, 1971. Directed by Stephen Frears. At the top of our list is Prick Up Your Ears, the biography of Joe Orton, a playwright who lived boldly, loved fiercely, and refused to hide. Joe was a brilliant, irreverent writer whose plays were shocking, explicit, and sexually charged. He wrote about desire and about gay men without apology. His lover Kenneth was his anchor, his center. Kenneth typed his plays, supported him, and loved him. Their life together was their own universe. Joe created work that couldn't be ignored, work that changed theater and claimed space for queer voices. The film shows his life as art in itself, the romance with Kenneth, the creative passion, the danger, and the sudden tragedy when Kenneth murders Joe in a brutal moment. The legacy remains. Joe's words live on. His refusal to disappear and his insistence on being seen changed what was possible in art, in literature, and in culture. So which of these films surprised you most? Which one speaks to you about love and resistance, about refusing to hide? Tell me in the comments which classic did you want to see. And if you loved this journey through cinema history, follow for more because there are so many more stories still waiting to be told. See you in the next one.